Veterans Appreciation Day event. At this time, please welcome our Museum Board Vice President, Robert Trivellini.
Thank you, Lisa. At this time, I'd like to introduce Semper Marine Detachment number 205, who have posted the colors, and like to recognize them. Introduce at this time Cadet Tech Sergeant Karsten of the Civil Air Patrol Cumberland Composite Squadron to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. All who can, if you could please stand and remove your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Daniel Ricketts of the New Jersey Army National Guard to sing the national anthem.
You hear me? Okay. I'm going to sing the fourth verse of the national anthem, which you may not be familiar with, but very appropriate for the military. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may our heaven-rescued land.
At this time, we will retire the colors. We were particularly honoring World War II veterans, and there were over 16 million Americans who served in the United States Armed Forces, with 291,000 killed and over 671,000 wounded. The scale sometimes is actually hard to imagine, and that's one of the things, you know, with our programs at the museum that we try and pass along to the students, that it's just unimaginable. But we can't thank them enough because they literally did save the world from unmentionable horrors, as our guest speaker will attest to during his remarks. So thank you again to all of our World War II veterans, who I'm going to mention briefly afterward, and I hope I don't miss anyone. So thank you in particular to all. And now, Tim Canary, our speaker, was a medic in the United States Army with the 45th Evacuation Hospital. They were attached to the 1st Army in Europe and later the 3rd Army at the end of the war. He served from August 2nd, 1942 to November 25th of 1945. Tim is an amazing volunteer for a museum. He shared his experiences with young people and adult audiences countless times. And not only that, he's just a great person to be around, and makes coming to the Millville Army Airfield Museum even more of a treat. So I'm going to introduce a man who I couldn't admire anymore, World War II veteran Tim Canary.
Good morning, folks. I'm here to talk to you today about World War II a little bit. As I say, we belong to the 45th Evacuation Hospital. We landed on D plus 10, 16th in Omaha Beach, and we went inland, and for about 6 miles. We would stay there until the 23rd of June, but then we started moving up. The evacuation hospital follows the front lines. They move up, we moved up. We had several counters on the way. One was Battle of the Bulge. Some officer or whoever put a ordnance depot 200 yards from the hospital at the Battle of the Bulge. The Germans bombed it. We didn't have any casualties, but we had a lot of casualties in the unit. We were set up in a schoolhouse. It was scary, but we pulled through that. We went up through France, Belgium, Germany. On August the 21st, we came from town of Bad Wildungen down in Lower Germany. It was beautiful country down there. The war had not touched it. We left there. We wound up that day at Nora, up in Germany. It was a Luftwaffe airfield and barracks for the. We unloaded our trucks. We were put back on our trucks again, and we went for a little ride. We went about 4 miles. We went for this fenced-in place. Gates were open. We saw the most horrendous sight that you could ever believe. We were inside a Buchenwald concentration camp. We spent the afternoon there. The odor was terrible. It was just, I just can't describe it. It was terrible, that's all I can say. We stayed there, we looked around, saw the crematorium, the ocean, the ovens, the whipping posts, anything they used for keeping the prisoners in line. And I think a lot of the odor was, they had, I don't know how many wagon loads of dead bodies. It was just terrible. We went back to our barracks to Nora, set up our hospital. The 26th of April, 1945, we were sent back to Buchenwald concentration camp. We had to process 600 critically ill TB patients. We went in there, it was something that trying to clean up. There were the guards, the SS troops, had good quarters. I don't know how they stood it with the odor there, but they had good quarters. There was 2 brick buildings, 3 floors on them. It took us 2 days to clean up the barracks and so forth, so we could set up our hospital. We couldn't set up tents; there wasn't enough room. But the as I say, the filth was terrible. But it took us 2 days, along with some German civilians, to clean them up. We finally got them cleaned so that we could use it as a hospital. We set up the hospital on the first floor, and the second floor was for barracks. The other box building was for the personnel, listed men and so forth. Our first move was to take all our clothing. What do you want to call our clothing? They were rags, basically. We stripped them of their clothing and burned the clothing. The next thing was to bathe them. The ones that could walk, we had portable showers set up inside of tents. That presented a little problem because the prisoners were hesitant about going into a tent. We finally got them convinced to go in and shower, which they did. They came out, they were given dried and sprayed with DDT. From there they went to, were given new clothes. From there they went to x-rays. The next step was the x-rays. After the x-rays, they were sent up to wards. They were given beds. This is the first time they had we had cots up in all the wards. We had set up 400 beds, incidentally. The cots we had mattresses for many of them. If we didn't have enough mattresses, we took wool GI blankets and put them up, made pads out of them so that they had something soft to sleep on. Gave them pillows, they had sheets, pillowcases, which they hadn't had for years. From there, the laboratory personnel took over and took blood samples, urine samples, sputum samples, whatever samples had to be taken. And to treat these patients, you had to be so very careful. You were afraid of breaking, they were so thin, afraid of breaking through the bones through the skin. So you had to be very careful. When we got our patients, when they brought them up on a litter, we took 4 of us, one on each corner of the sheet, picked them up and set them on the bed very gently. We went through this. It took us approximately, we were there for 2 weeks. We were there when the war in Europe ended, May the 8th. It was just horrendous duty. We did it. We did it well because we got a commendation out of it. But to treat these people, to take care of them, as I said, you had to be very careful with them. And one of the problems was language. I think we had something like 6 interpreters with us to talk to these people. One of the things we ran into was feeding them. You had to be very careful. Some of them ate too much too quick, and it did not set well at all. Basically, it killed them. But we finally found out. We got the cooks found a high quality diet. We started them with chocolate milk, malted milk, eggnog, and candy to help to build them up. It was We don't know, none of us know what happened to any of those prisoners once they left us. Because when they left us, we were sent to a TV hospital in Germany. So we don't know what, but we figured we started them on the right road, on the road to recovery. But as I say, it was an awesome duty, but we did it. We did it to the best of our ability, and we're recognized for it. That's all we can ask for. And people ask me, would I do it again? Yes, I would. Seeing those people like that, it was awful. I just can't describe it. And as I say, the odor in that camp, it was terrible. While we were in there, our sanitation department started along with the German people, citizens, started cleaning it up. I don't know how long it took them to clean it up, but they were working on it. But we left there on the 11th of May, and I to this day I have not forgotten that. But and I did have the pleasure in August last year of this year of I had never been able to meet anyone who was in Buchenwald, and I had the opportunity through Millville Airport, the Holocaust Museum in Washington, and several people to talk to a gentleman through the computer system that they had in Millville Airport. Talked to a gentleman that was in Buchenwald when I was there, when our outfit was there. He was only at the time 13. But as I say, I cannot describe the conditions that were there, but I hear people say, well, they talked to somebody that didn't believe that happened. Believe me, as I say many times to people, talking to groups, my eyes were 20/20 back then. I know what I saw. Don't let anybody ever tell you that concentration camps didn't happen. It happened. Thank you, folks.
It's amazing that Tim's presentations just get better and better and more impactful. No one could illustrate the importance of veterans more than Tim Canary, and his particular experiences, of which there's even more are so important. And it was last August. It was just incredibly moving, and thank you to Rich Walzak, who's here, for the idea to contact the United States Holocaust Museum when he found out from Tim that he hadn't met a Buchenwald survivor since the war, and it was arranged through Zoom, and it was just incredible to see, and the appreciation of the gentleman who lives in Maryland for Tim and the other evacuation hospital personnel, as he was treated by them himself, because he had been beaten brutally by the guards just recent before the liberation. So Tim, some people, when you look at a museum and they say it's a collection of artifacts, but one of the things about the Millville Army Airfield Museum is that it's always been about the World War II veterans, the P-47 pilots who trained here. Several of them were here every day for decades, greeting visitors and the World War II veterans who are here still so often. So the museum is about the people and what they did, as I mentioned, and as you just heard, to save the world. And for the young people, that history isn't just something in the books, it's something to learn from. And in this particular case right now, with the rise of anti-Semitism in the world, this is a case where people knew what Tim saw, and people would be far less likely to listen to that. And Tim only started speaking because he was here in 2016 for this event, and we happened to see his hat, and we asked if he could be interviewed as part of our veteran interview project that we do with high school students, and the rest, no pun intended, is history. And he's gone out, and particularly now he's made it his mission to talk about that, as there are these Nazi groups cropping up all over in the United States. He's made it his mission to say exactly what he said, that it did happen. There's no minimizing it, and nothing could be more important than about our veterans. And similarly, years ago we interviewed Korean veterans another year, and there was a lot of missiles being shot off by North Korea, and again we're able to point out to the students, hey, what you're hearing about the Korean War, it's not just deep and unimportant history. And as we interview the Vietnam veterans, and we stress the importance of their contributions. So thank you to Tim. I would like to mention our other World War II veterans who are here, and I hope I do not miss them. Sandy, I've already mentioned, and John Quinesso, I'm going to mention in just a moment. But we have with us Mike Jordan, who served in both theaters of World War II, who's a U.S. Navy veteran. We have Charlie Pierce with us. Charlie is an Army veteran, Corps of Engineers, was there supporting at the Battle of the Bulge, and they were involved with some transporting of German prisoners, a bunch of amazing stories. George Rubin is back, who has spoken to us both in person and in Zoom. And George, a B-17 armor gunner, through a number of missions till his last mission when they were shot down over Germany. And George talked about they happened to be shot down right near a training facility for the Hitler Youth. And him and his crew were nearly executed by the Hitler Youth. And fortunately survived then being in POW camp the rest of the war. Today we met for the first time, or I met for the first time, Leon Straczynski, another Navy veteran of the South Pacific, and Leon, where he was attached, they were a carrier escort, and so hopefully we'll get a chance to interview Leon. So thank you as our honored group for today. We have World War II veterans speak quarterly movie nights, which a lot of you have attended. And like I mentioned, George and Charlie and Sandy and John Quinesso have all been speakers, and Tim. So we still have these opportunities available. So look forward to look at our event. Upcoming, we have our air show in July of 2021, and July 20 and 21st of 2024. Thank you. This is the museum's main fundraiser, and so if you want to help us as we do these things for veterans and for kids. If you know of any businesses that might be able to support us as being sponsors of the air show, now's the time. July seems like it's a long time away, but a lot of corporations make their decisions at the end of the previous year. Macy Williams will read the names of the 14 young airmen who perished right here at the Millville Army Airfield. And again, with the students, we try and emphasize this isn't the number of people who perished in Europe who went through Millville, but they actually died just in the training, which was dangerous in its own regard.
Captain Harold H. Crossley of Massachusetts. First Lieutenant William S. Malone of Wisconsin. Second Lieutenant William E. Caniff of New Jersey. Second Lieutenant Robert G. Derwent of New Jersey. Second Lieutenant James L. Thompson of Virginia. Second Lieutenant Charles M. Weber Jr. of Iowa. Second Lieutenant Andrew J. Easterwood Jr. of Alabama. Second Lieutenant Morgan J. Barton of Wyoming. Second Lieutenant John D. M. Rumbraw of Ohio. Second Lieutenant Lee L. Pryor Jr. of Mississippi. Second Lieutenant William D. Slater of Massachusetts. Second Lieutenant Earl Hepburn Jr. of Pennsylvania. Flight Officer Salem R. Morrison of New York, and Flight Officer John F. Driscoll of Iowa.
Moment of silence in honor of those 14 airmen who died here, along with all who have passed away in service to our country. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the veterans who will be carrying up the wreath today. Anthony DiStefano is a research historian for the Millville Army Airfield Museum. He's from Washington Township. He was a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, serving in both the active and reserve components. He took up our request to help locate, contact family members of those 14 pilots. And it was just mentioned here just, I think 3 years ago. If anybody has experience, in research and genealogy. And we didn't know Anthony before that. And he came up and is now part of the museum family and has done amazing research. And what a great thing for those families. Most of these people were too young to be married and have kids that died. And for the family members to be reached out to and say, hey, those people are not forgotten in Millville. And they died in service here. So he's located them with a ton of research and reached out to those family members. And it's just been a great thing. And just mentioning, if you have, skills that you'd like to contribute to our cause at the museum, you can touch base with Lisa or any of us, because Anthony's made a big contribution. Our other veteran today is John Panesso, who many of you have seen speak. He was a radio operator aboard landing ship medium 302. Served in the Pacific Theater from January of 44 to July of 46. And they did important work, shuttling men and fuel and equipment to various islands to help get the war in the Pacific entered. And if you talk to John afterward, he can tell you great stories about the end of the war, and those of you who've already seen him know that he's both an informative and entertaining speaker, and he's done a lot for our kids. So John and Anthony will be laying in the wreath along with Civil Air Patrol cadets, Cadet Airman First Class Farmer and Karstens will be assisting. Raymond Bates of Buena, New Jersey will be playing taps. Thank you. Lisa Jester. I'd like to say some words, but there's really not enough words to talk about the work that Lisa does on a daily basis, just to make each and every veteran that walks through the door feel special, along with her staff and all the volunteers. She coordinates numerous jobs. When there's a big event such as this, she goes above and beyond the call of duty. The amount of work she puts in for our air shows is incredible. When we have people come in, such as in August, the USS New Jersey, the new nuclear submarine that's going to be launched next year, they came here for a visit, and the work she did to put everything in place for them to have a good experience, and we were happy to honor them, and happy that the Navy found it important to come here and learn about history that happened here in Millville, and make this particular visit was very, we felt honored that they came here to Millville. So I'm going to introduce Lisa, and at the same time thank her on my behalf and on all of us for all that you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. A big thank you goes out to everyone who helped with the setup for this event. Our museum and staff and volunteers do a great job. Without sponsorships and volunteers, this event would not be possible. A special thank you to Verna's Flightline Restaurant for donating today's mess hall lunch. Verna's is located right here on the airport and does many wonderful things for our community. Other supporters include Supply It All, Botino ShopRite, and Wawa. This event is very important to our museum, and we are proud to support our mission of preserving this history. A few ways you can help is by joining our museum membership, which start at $30 a year, and this can be gifted. Memberships are the backbone of our organization and allow us to have events like these. You don't need to volunteer or attend meetings. It is basically a donation that allows us to remain open and continue to grow. Our museum store has gift ideas for Christmas or birthdays, such as t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and lots more. Our annual 50/50 fundraiser will be drawn on Wednesday, December 6th at 7 p.m. We will stream it live on our museum Facebook. Out of the 500 tickets, there's only 36 left, and the cost is $50. Top prize is $10,000, or 5 winners at $500 each. Tickets are for sale in our museum store. Our museum neighbors, Smith & Jackson Military Sales, which is right behind us, are open for business. Glasstown Brewery is located in the original World War II maintenance garages, and they both are wonderful assets to our airport. The Delaware River and Bay Authority continues to provide wonderful support and have our grounds looking really nice for today. We have a few vendors on display. The Cumberland County Outreach Bus is here. Special thanks to the Cumberland County Cultural and Heritage Commission for providing funding for these beautiful murals and interpretive displays. The Cole Mobile is here, so please meet Chris and his dog. Cole is the official mascot of the New Jersey Violent Veterans Home. Angelic Healthcare of New Jersey has an outreach set up in our library, and they have been doing wonderful things for our veterans. At this time, I would like to introduce our dear friend and board member of the Millville Army Airfield Museum, Joe Durella, to say a few words and also introduce some special people.
First of all, what a beautiful day, and thank you all for being here. We have a few elected officials and that really help this community and always support this very, very important event. I want to have a shout out to Sheriff Faustino. See him in the back, please. Celeste Riley. Millville City Commissioner Ben Romanek. Deputy Mayor of Lawrence Township, Skip Bowman. And I would like to invite County Commissioner Director Doug Albrecht and Commissioner Joe Cilio up to say a few words.
This is a beautiful day, and I welcome a great turnout for this event as usual, and thanks for your hard work for that. I was told that sometimes when you say to a veteran that you thank them for the services, that they're embarrassed because they take it. This is what they do. This is what they accept it that they're involved with. I always think to my dad that he always just did. That he didn't look for it, he did, and that's what most veterans they just do. I believe it's not said enough, but maybe it's better to say thank you to the veterans, but a better thank you would be to start teaching civics again to kids and start to understand the principles this country was founded on and they were established under, and to understand how great this country is by the principles we have. The Cumberland County Commissioner Board, in a short period of time, has put our beliefs in action and by supporting our veterans. The first thing we did was to fully staff our Veterans Affairs Office and train that staff to be VSOs to help our veterans. We also pushed our staff to talk and operate across departments outside silos, so this way services can be provided and talked to so we can help people. Homelessness is not an issue of housing, and many veterans suffer from this. It is a part of mental health, PTSD is real with our veterans. It's addiction issues, it's transportation issues, it's employment issues. We're even now training crisis intervention teams with our social workers and police to handle situations that don't dictate a certain way of handling it. And that our veterans may be involved with that. We've tackled this. We've also looked that this airport itself, that we are partners with the RBA, the city of Millville, who's led the way. The state officials have said that this place is important and should be expanded, should be operated, and special part of our community. Not too far from here, we established our #1 economic development project, which is the Dab Avenue extension. And it's to improve economic development in this county so people can tackle the unemployment issue. Now, we're supporting another initiative for veterans, and my counterpart, Commissioner Cilio, will speak on that. Joe?
Hello, everybody, and what a beautiful day today. I just want to say one thing. World War II vets, the greatest generation ever in the United States. But we also have other generations that have fought in other campaigns, other conflicts throughout the years. We have Vietnam, my dad, Korea, and we have to acknowledge those gentlemen and ladies that have fought so fiercely for what we have. And the point I'm trying to make is that they're trying to take our history away, as you see throughout the United States. They want to stop guys like Tim, guys like Stacy, who have the memory of what happened back during World War II. We can't let that happen. This is why this event is so important. More importantly, I'm going to basically piggyback on what the commissioner said, was that we have a NACO, N-A-C-O, which is the National Association for Counties. The Congress had put out a House resolution last year for an Operation Greenlight. Operation Greenlight is recognition of all our vets from November 6th to the 12th. All we're asking is that anybody who has a home, who has a house, who has a business, put a green light out to show your support for our vets. And one more thing, the VSOs. Because we know the VSOs are so important to help bring the benefits to each and every veteran when they come home. They have to reconstitute themselves. They've got to come back to this world and live in our world now. And it's not an easy thing. They suffer from PTSD. They suffer from diseases. I had Congressman Van Drew pass a resolution last year. It was basically put in the garbage can in previous administration, but I had him pass it this year for Vietnam vets and any other conflicts where we're going to recognize and try to get the help that people who are exposed to Agent Orange. There are so many things that we're trying to do out of the county right now. And if you have any questions, I'm reachable. I have my cell phone and my card. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If I can't answer the questions, we'll take you over to Diana Pittman at the Veterans Affairs, because we have to make it happen again, people, because we have a lot of vets going to be coming home, and who knows what's going to be going back out again. Thank you.
I'm very lucky because I get a chance to speak on behalf of the board and myself. I have not missed any of these events. This is a cherished moment for me. I've mentioned many times my father was a veteran, Korea and World War II. My uncle and my godfather all served in the military. My father taught me and my sisters a very important lesson about that symbol right there. That flag meant so much to him that when each of us got our house for the first time, his housewarming gift was that beautiful symbol. And tucked inside that little package was every holiday that it had to be flown. And if he drove by our house and it wasn't up, guess what? We were in trouble. But more importantly, he taught us what that symbol stands for. It's not just for freedom, for honor, but bravery, integrity, honesty, faith in God. All those things are wrapped into the fibers of that incredible symbol of freedom, that incredible symbol of this great country. That flag across this globe is the most important symbol anybody could see. It's being challenged today, and we have to stand up and make sure it continues to be the symbol honored by the rest of the world. If you listen really close, when that thing is just beautifully in the breeze, you can probably hear the whispers of those who gave it all. My father also told me 3 other things. If you see a veteran, you got 3 choices, Joe. You can give them the nod, quietly say a little prayer for them, but more importantly, tip your cap. In honor of my father, I tip my hat to every veteran here for what you've done for this country to make sure that beautiful symbol continues to be the leader of the world. Thank you.
Who are here today, if you could please raise your hand. We have John Knoop, Kim Ayers, CJ Wetstein, Jerry Carey, Donna Bertoli, Ralph Thomas, Regina Merkel, Bob Trivellini, I already said Ralph Thomas, Joe Placentra, and Steve Graham. Did I miss anyone? Oh my goodness. Russell Davis, our museum chairman. Sorry, Russell. And Chuck Weigel. See, I kind of winged this one. I was like, well, I don't normally introduce the board members, but I figured I'd better recognize you. Thank you for all you do. Okay, now we have a special dedication. On behalf of everyone at the Millville Army Airfield Museum, our board of directors, staff, and members, I am honored today to recognize United States Navy veteran Dave McCarthy. Many of you here know Dave and can attest to the fact that he is a great community leader. Today, we recognize him for his outstanding contributions to the museum. Dave enlisted in the United States Navy in 1967 and spent 4 years as a radar man, primarily stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. His love for aviation came while he served as an electronic warfare operator and air intercept controller. As a career, Dave worked for the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, for 28 years, through 2004, most of those years here at Millville Airport. Following that, Dave was the airport operations manager for the Delaware River and Bay Authority here at this airport, and he did an outstanding job. But today, we recognize and honor Dave for all that he has given to the Millville Army Airfield Museum. He is a past member of the Board of Trustees and continues to take an active role in our museum's governance and successes. Dave is a man with an extraordinary mind and memory. He is a wealth of knowledge on aviation, military history, and sports, with interesting and unique stories loaded with facts and humor. He currently volunteers as one of the museum's best docent tour guides and our outreach director. He is always available for group tours and special guest visits, offering his knowledge both of America's military history and the history of the Millville Airport, America's first defense airport. Dave is incredibly generous with his time and support of the museum, donating monthly as a sustaining member. He also is our best customer in our museum store because he has so many grandchildren that come in and beg Pop-Pop to buy him stuff. So you are our best customer, Dave. Thank you so much. Today, we recognize him for his many contributions to the museum and particularly his dedication to the preservation of the history of the Millville Army Airfield. Dave, if you could please come up. This plaque will be hung proudly by the United States Navy case in Dave's honor.
Keep it short. I'd like to recognize a couple sustaining members of the Millville gift shop. Those kids over there in orange, they can always walk out of here with a really nice airplane. Lisa cut my talk down from an hour to 45 minutes to reading what's on this paper right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you a story about how Veterans Day came to being. Max Floto. He's considered a force behind the effort that led the annual national observance of Veterans Day. I keep saying labor, Veterans Day. Following an armistice agreement, it was determined that World War I hostilities would end, specifically at the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month of 1918. The Great War, in effect, was over. Floto, a World War I veteran, during this, attended a session at his local American Legion, and during that session he began his effort by leading the Legion Post to pass a resolution to honor World War I veterans every year on November the 11th. Floto subsequently presented the resolution during the Pennsylvania American Legion Convention, where it was also adopted. It was passed by the American Legion's National Convention in Minneapolis on March 31st, 1921. The Pennsylvania legislature recognized November 11th as a legal holiday. Working with Thomas Scott, another Connellsville area World War I veteran, Floto and Scott appealed to the congressman, and on May 13th, 1938, Franklin Delano Roosevelt established November 11th as a national holiday. It was called Armistice Day at that time, and in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name to Veterans Day to honor all veterans, living or dead, who served the nation honorably during time of war or peace. In 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Holidays Bill, which moved the celebration of Veterans Day to the fourth Monday in October. The law went into effect in 1971, but in 1975, President Gerald Ford, who, by the way, was the division officer of Owen Garrison during the whole Second World War on the USS Monterey. They knew each other very well. He returned Veterans Day to November 11th because of the historical significance of the date. In 1978, Floto received a congressional award recognizing him as the father of the Armistice Day. He died January 25th, 1985, and is buried in the Hillgrove Cemetery in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Thank you to all the veterans. This is a wonderful day for us, and it'll be everlasting. And Tim, you've seen things that no person should ever have to look at, and I appreciate you for that. Thanks again, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Dave, and so well deserved. We have one more special dedication today. At this time, we're going to take this opportunity today to thank a couple that gives so much to our community and our museum. Lori and John Ruga, owners of Northeast Precast, are the true examples of the American dream. They have worked hard all of their lives to achieve successes in recent years. They are to be recognized and thanked for many reasons. They are great employers, visionaries, and truly caregivers of our community. And Northeast Precast for their wonderful and ongoing contributions to our museum. Their sponsorships for our Millville air shows and to many museum educational projects are so generous and incredibly supportive of the work here at the Millville Army Airfield Museum. Their patriotism is evident in all that they give. Today, as we dedicate our M60A3 tank display, we thank the team at Northeast Precast and Lori and John Ruga for their generosity toward this project. With their help, the tank was transported from a VFW in Roebling, New Jersey to Vineland by Garton's Rigging. Our museum is proud to have a United States Army 1960s era tank on display in our courtyard. As an American assault vehicle, the M60 was one of the world's most successful main battle tanks, with 25,000 being produced and serving the armies of 22 countries. The tank weighs more than 50 tons and is certainly challenged to hoist and haul, but not for the Northeast Precast team, where it was temporarily stored for several months, where it underwent sandblasting, welding, and painting. Our tank was also in the Millville and Vineland Christmas parades, and then was delivered here in December of 2022. We have so many people to thank for the acquisition of this tank. Topping the list is Northeast Precast, but we also offer thanks to Garton Rigging, Brian Gifford, the owner of our Briscoe Enterprise, who prepared and poured the pad site, which by the way is 8 inches thick, John Knoop, our museum board member and project manager at Northeast Precast, and our volunteer museum team. Today we have our muralist, Sam Donovan, is responsible for all of these incredible murals throughout our district and the one on City Hall. So let's give Sam a big round of applause. And as of today, he is starting the painting of this tank to its specified historic camouflage. We are so thankful for the funding from the Cumberland County Cultural and Heritage Commission for all of these murals and interpretive displays. So big round of applause. I know Amari Williams is here from the county and several other officials, but thank you so much for bringing our museum to a whole new level. Northeast Precast for all of their help with this wonderful artifact acquisition for the museum. We are so honored and thankful to recognize Lori and John Ruga today for their many generous contributions to the Millville Army Airfield Museum. Unfortunately, John had sent me a message a few days ago that he did have a conflict, but accepting on their behalf is John Knoop. So John, if you could please come forward.
On behalf of John and Lori Ruga and the employees of Northeast Precast, it's my honor to accept this award. And it's an honor to work for such a benevolent company that really understands its community stewardship. John wanted me to reach out and thank personally the Millville Army Airfield Museum for their mission of preserving the World War history at Millville Airport, and to the veterans, which he fully supports. So thank you on behalf of John and Lori.
At this time, I would like to introduce our bagpiper who has been coming here just about every year. Jim Rembes is from Pennsylvania, And as a thank you to our servicemen, Jim will be playing a tribute to the military services. As you hear your branch of military service being played, please stand if you are able.